What's going on, Niner fam? It is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast, and another week, another victory. 49ers beat the Saints 26-21, and another tough, gritty victory for the 49ers. That's honestly what I've been waiting to see for in almost a couple of years now, like them to get back to the tough label and for them to be able to get some of this was a win that they, as well as last week's win, that they probably wouldn't have gotten last year. And but we're gonna there's a lot to get into, including unfortunately some injury news. But before we get into any of that, we got to hit the music. And once again, it is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast, and appreciate you guys coming through. I know there's a lot of football going on right now. You probably don't like, and if you don't, and if you want to watch this later, I don't blame you. Like I'm missing. I'm gonna probably watch the games after this, but I had to find time to make the video, so here we are. The 49ers beat the Saints 26-21. And like I said before the promo, it was a very gritty victory. Before we get into that, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. And yeah, just join the community. I love getting involved with the people that watch, and yeah, just hit me up on Twitter. Any questions, anything that you want to talk about on the show, I'm going to be here every Monday. So just hit me up anytime. But yeah, it was a really gritty victory. And I looked at you just look at all the losses on the team, like all the injuries. And they ended up with some more injuries after the game, but you wonder how this team was not able to pull out some of these wins last year. And we spoke a lot about it last season, about the lack of toughness, about kind of just the lack of identity of this squad. But I think the more that the just in these two games, I think that this team is building its identity right before our eyes. And they're getting back to depending on that defense, leaning on it to just keep them in games while they just run the offense. And it's really they kind of went back to what they did last year as far as the offense goes. I really would have liked to see them run the ball more, but of course, people went right back into all of the all 22ers, and the bean counters went right back into, well, the fronts weren't showing us enough to where we could run the ball. I get it. And to me, it made the game a little bit more difficult. It doesn't matter if you can get 5 yards a carry. It's even if you get 2 yards or 1 yard. It's that just putting it in the defense's mind, in my opinion. But this show really is not about the bean counting. It's not about the all 22. It's really about the root causes. What is going on with the 49ers and the root causes of the of what is going on with the team. And that can't all be shown on the all 22. That can't be shown all on the in the just reading the box score. If you just read the box score or you just look at the all 22, you're kind of, yeah, you can see things that are that obviously the players couldn't see in the moment, but I think it does the players a disservice in my to judge them based on just the all 22. And likewise with the box score watchers, and the bean counters and all the PFF stats and all that kind of stuff, it kind of takes away from the game in my opinion. Like, yeah, you can use that stuff. I use stats. I still look up stats, but I use them for context, for reference, not as this is why this happened. Because the only thing that will show you that is when you watch the game, when you see the context on the field. So that's what this show is about. So if you're here to hear about a bunch of meaningless stats and you're here and you want to talk about all 22, you're at the wrong place. We're going to talk about this team and the things that I've noticed. And you get in the chat, get involved in the chat. Tell me some things you've noticed. But let's talk about it and let's talk our way through what we see in our team this year. So, but I wanted to start off. I wanted to start off talking about. I just talked about the tough one. Those are my five takeaways. I'm starting this year with going over my five takeaways, and the first one was the tough win with even less players. The injury news, as far as the team goes, we are where is it? Here it is. So Kyle Juszczyk and Saran Neal are both in the concussion protocol now, and Kyle was pretty surprised that he was going to have to that Kyle Juszczyk. He thinks that Kyle Juszczyk is probably going to make it through till for the next game, but Saran Neal, I'm not so sure. And I mean, he's kind of depth, so like it like we'll see how much we didn't really need him in this last game, but hopefully, hey, like we want all our guys to be healthy. So Ben Barch, high ankle sprain, big shock. Ben Barch can't stay healthy, which is why I was really surprised that they were just kind of going all in with him at left guard because he hadn't shown anywhere that he's been that he can stay healthy. So I don't know why you would put all your eggs in that one basket. But luckily, they drafted Connor Colby, who looked tremendous. He looked tremendous, and he really kind of solidified that he even helped out. I feel like he helped out our favorite center in. I'm just slipping with his name, but let's see, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Yeah, Jake Brendel. Like I feel like he helped Jake Brendel because Jake Brendel had a terrible game the game before this, the first game. But this game, PFF score, he had like a PFF score of like 80. Now that could just be that I don't think the Saints defensive line was as good as Seattle's defensive line. But at the same time, this offensive line looked a little bit better. They gave Mac a little bit more time. Now, Mac threw the ball a little bit quicker than Purdy. I know that a lot of people were saying that Mac was holding onto the ball too long, but he actually had a less average time to throw before throwing than Purdy did. I got that stat from Matt, I believe it was Matt Barrows this morning, and I actually asked him on X if he saw a difference because I saw they were bringing up the stat about the offensive line and how much better the offensive line looked, and that they were giving Mac Jones more time. And I questioned it, like, well, I'm kind of interested to find out how long the quarterbacks are holding the ball because it feels like they're holding the ball forever. And why are they holding the ball so long? Why are they? Is it a quarterback thing? Is they just not seeing it, or is it more of a scheme issue where they're just the plays are just too long to develop? And he actually mentioned that, hey, this Mac actually held the ball. What was it? Purdy was 307. Mac was 2.87 seconds. So just a little bit less. I mean, it's not much of a difference, but at the same time, Mac held it on an average less time than Purdy did, but it felt like he held it longer. But he felt like it looked to me like he had a much cleaner pocket, and I just felt that this offensive line looked a lot better in this game, even in the run game, which last week against Seattle. Now, I want to say Seattle's defense, I think, is much better than the Saints. Especially at the defensive line. I don't think that the 49ers were able to run the ball uh, as well last week and the first week. But this week, I felt like this they were able to open up a few holes. CMC got a few nice runs. What did they end up? They didn't end up running the ball a whole bunch of times. I think they ran the ball like 15 times total. Uh, let's see, rush. They had 26 rush attempts. Yeah, 26 rush attempts total. They only averaged 3 yards a carry. So um, they only had 77 yards rushing. So it felt like they were running the ball a little bit better, but apparently not. Like it looked a lot better than it did in the game, but I felt like CMC looked a lot better. I thought that they were. I think Brian Robinson is still kind of feeling his way into the system. It feels like he's still looking for. He's really not decisive when he's hitting the hole. And pause, but oh, Steve-O in the house again. Appreciate you coming through, fam. Last year's narrative, no O line depth, was wrong. This year, no O line depth. Uh, we still don't have O line depth. We don't have depth. They're Connor Colby. They drafted. They didn't. We didn't really know what it was. He had flashed in the preseason, but Ben Barch going down. He's going to be gone for multiple weeks. So that's still they don't have a ton of depth because guess who else went out? I don't know how because he didn't play, but Spencer Burford, he's out with what they say. Spencer Burford with a knee doesn't really say much else, but he's week to week. Then you've got Jawan Jennings out with an ankle, he's day to day. And was there anybody else? I think that was it. Like, but the 49ers really couldn't afford any more injuries. They really couldn't. They're really thin at wide receiver. Offensive line looks like they're going to be thin at offensive line as well. Uh, there was a couple of inactives in this last game, so I bet that Drew Moss will not be inactive in this next game. And there was another guy, Austin Pleasant. He's probably not going to be inactive this next game. So we'll see, and who knows? Hopefully, we don't have to see them. But I would like to see Drew Moss get a little bit of playing time. But Pooney, Dominic Pooney, in this last game, I feel like he's dealing with something. There's some kind of injury that he's dealing with because he's just not as it could be a sophomore slump. It could just be he's slow getting out of the gate. But he hasn't looked as sharp this season as he did last season. So but as we get into they were on the road the first two games of the season. Let's see if they get back home and if they start building any rapport, like some chemistry on the offensive line, that they take a step forward. Hopefully we'll see a little bit more from Dominic Pooney. The next thing I wanted to talk about was Mac Jones. Okay, looked better than Sam Bradford, and I was in the spaces all last week. I'm gonna be in the spaces for shout out to Gridiron Bullies, but the Mac Jones is work very quick. People are very quick to say he failed in New England. People are quick to say he failed in Jacksonville. Did not look good there either. It's sometimes, and we've talked about this in the past on this show. Sometimes it's just about the fit. Sometimes it's just about the fit. And you're just not in the right spot. You're not with the right coaching staff. Shanahan has a very quarterback friendly system to where he kind of takes away all of the extra. You're not going to be calling protections. His center is going to call protections for you. All he wants you to do is go out there and call the play and run his play the way he wants it run. And it takes away a lot of the thought, the thinking. And that helps a lot of quarterbacks. It helped Jimmy G. It helped. I mean, we can go down the line, but it helped Sam Bradford. like when he was a completely different player once he got to Minnesota. It seems to be helping. I mean, obviously it helped Brock Purdy, but it seems to be even helping Mac Jones now. Mac Jones seems to be the new recipient of the Shanahan magic, and it's weird because we say that Shanny can't develop quarterbacks. I don't think he can develop mobile quarterbacks, but he's really good with guys like Purdy with just pocket passers. So it's perfect for Mac Jones. And what's hilarious is that this was a guy that I wanted the 49ers to draft originally. I'm not afraid to say it. I didn't want that. I thought it was a mistake that they at the time that they traded up to number 3 to get Trey Lance. I thought that they could have stayed at 12 and just got took Mac Jones. I thought he was a better fit for the system and it wasn't such a project. Now, if you go back and look at the tweets, I expected them to take and once they traded up to 3, I thought it was a foregone conclusion that it was either Justin Fields or going to be Trey Lance. And I finally just got with Trey. I finally just went with Trey Lance that I thought that they were going to go with, and eventually they did. But Mac Jones, I thought was the best fit, and that's because he's kind of like him and Purdy are very similar. Both play with really good anticipation. Mac Jones did an excellent job of that when he was in Alabama, and it's his type of game, and he had just a little bit more of juice in his arm than Purdy does. So in theory, he would be a better fit than Brock Purdy. Now, Brock Purdy does an excellent job with his reads. Like excellent job with his reads. I think he runs the Shanahan offense better than anybody. I don't necessarily think that Shanahan calls the game. I wish Shanahan would call the game more like he did for Mac, and I'm really interested in watching the playback and watching. I'm hoping that JT O'Sullivan from QB School, shout out to him, who does great QB breakdowns. I'm hoping he breaks down this week's Purdy or Mac Jones performance because I'm interested to see if Shanahan really called the same type of game plan that he calls for Purdy. Because I felt like they didn't struggle as much in the red zone. The 2 minute drill went off way smoother with Mac Jones, and I'm just interested to know why. What's the difference between Purdy and Mac Jones when we're talking now? Granted, you might say, "Oh, well, they didn't have any tape with Mac Jones in San Francisco." That's true, but I gotta believe that there's something else. There was some other reason, and there was a difference in the way that Shanny was calling the game. Uh, so I'm interested to find out what that is, and I might go over that next week when I do my show next week. But it's Steve said he hit a 4 leg parlay. Good for you, bro. I can. Oh, did I freeze? Let me know in the chat if I'm frozen. Hmm. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Uh, but Roberto in the house. Appreciate you coming through, fam. Yes, it is absolutely Victory Monday, and we are celebrating this 2-0. Appreciate you coming through. And Steve says Bradford or Darnold. Sam Darnold. My bad. I don't know why I said Bradford, but yeah, Darnold. It. This is the thing. What's the difference? But well, I guess there's a big difference between those two. But the Darnold actually looked pretty good on the last Seahawks game. They put a whooping on the Steelers, but I digress. This isn't a Seahawks show, and it'll never be. But but yeah, I'm just interested to see what Mac Jones look like, what the difference is in the game plan. He threw a ton. He threw 39 times, which Shanny doesn't usually let Purdy throw like that. Like, so I'm just interested in finding out what was the difference. But I will say that I've always liked Mac's skill set for this offense, and I think if he does get a chance to play next week, I think it's going to be a little different because the other team has tape on him now, but and they're going against the Cardinals, but it'll be at in Santa Clara. So I still think that Mac has a leg up there. I think, yeah, that Arizona's going through some injury issues themselves right now. But yeah, I think that he might do just as well next week. I'd be interested to see it because the Cardinals are playing pretty pretty decent football right now. And I said that they were one of the teams that I said the first episode that they're one of the teams that I just think is destined for the come up. Like I like their coach. I like their coach. I think that they did a lot in free agency, or not free agency. Well, some in free agency, but in the draft, I think that they kind of fortified that defense. But we'll see. We'll see how it matches up against the 49ers offense. It's weird because we don't have. I mean, you got Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall, who Ricky Pearsall has impressed. He's really impressed. He's still a number two to me, but I think that he's a good number two. I think he's a really good number two. And when Brandon Ayuk comes back, I think that they're going to be a nice tandem. Both of them are smooth route runners. Both of them, uh, both of them play with heart. And then you've got Jawan Jennings. If Jawan Jennings is your three, I mean, then they're gonna have a nice group. And I think that's probably going to be about week 6, week 7, somewhere around there. Like I think for the most part, I think all of them will probably be together by week 7, hopefully. But uh, let's see. The next key to the game for me was Fred Warner and D Winters. I want to mention them both because Fred Warner was all over the place. He got the fumble, the punch out fumble. Great play by Fred. The great awareness to punch the ball out at the moment because uh, if they were gonna give, they make that let that be a catch because I thought it was an incomplete pass when I first saw it, and then I saw that they gave him the catch and they were calling him down. Well, I was like, well, he can't be down because Fred punched the ball out. So I knew it had to be a fumble at that point, and sure enough, it was a fumble. Great play by Fred. Fred was all over the place. D Winners. Can we just talk a little bit about D real quick? People keep comparing him to Dre Greenlaw, and he had a Dre Greenlaw moment by hit a guy way out of bounds. But I think that D Winners he could be. There's potential there to be a better Dre Greenlaw. I feel like he plays way more under control, but he's still out there laying hats. Just guys are catching the ball and they are not going anywhere if they catch the ball. But he's good coverage. Both of them are all over the field, making tackles, making plays, and it's the both of them together. It's just Fred Warner's having. It looks like he's going to have another great season. This is a guy, and I mentioned this on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it now. I mentioned this that there's been a lot of linebackers since Fred's been in the league, since Fred has emerged into one of the best linebackers in the league, and if not the best. And whenever he's in conversation for the best linebacker in the league, they always try to put somebody up against him, whether it be Roquan Smith, whether it be the guy from there was a guy from the Colts at the time that was getting paid just as much as him, and then there was another guy from Tampa Bay that they were comparing him to, and I can't think of the names right now, but it was it. Fred is still here. None of those guys are really talked about. Roquan a little bit, but they don't mention him as the best linebacker in the league. Like Fred is far and away, in my opinion, the best linebacker in the league. I just think that the consistency of Fred Warner, and then just I mean, not only is he consistent, the toughness, the the how do you like what's the word for it? He just has this the leadership and the a guy that you can just he's a bedrock for this team, for this defense. Every time I start thinking about the defense, you think about 49er defense, you think about Fred Warner. You would think that you think about Bosa, yeah, but Fred Warner is the standard, and that's I think that is just such a testament to like I said, his consistency. I love that they re-upped him. I want him to be a 49. I don't want him to be anywhere other than the 49ers. So it's just great to see him having another really good season. The man got kicked in the face and like gauze stuffed all up his nose. Still came out and played his heart out. Still went out there and got the dub. So yeah, Fred Warner is just a man child, and D Winters couldn't be next to a better example than Fred Warner. Uh, but let's move on to my fourth takeaway is this D line. The D line the 49ers have been complaining about the 49er fans have been complaining about the D line for the last couple of years, and that the D line, the expectations and the not just the expectations, but the quality of guys that they were bringing in over the last couple of years has just been lacking. I think it got to a point to where they were almost treating it like the O line, and that they thought they could bring Chris Kasurik anything, and he could turn him into a viable defensive lineman for this team. And this year, Salah's back. They immediately invested in this defense, and it's showing. Mikel Williams is just popping all off the screen. Like you really didn't see too much of him in the first game, but this game, he was popping off the screen. He was everywhere, and he was making plays. I can't wait to see what this kid develops into. He is when he comes up with a pass rush plan and starts to really develop those pass rush skills, it's curtains, because they had the one play where they put him and Bosa and rotated them inside, and they were both playing inside, and there was just no chance. It was the closing play. It was the closer play. They were on the inside, and you had Bryce Huff on the outside, which kudos to Bryce Huff. He was left for dead in Philly, brought back to be with Salah over here on the 49ers, and he took advantage of the moment. Took advantage of the moment, and it was great to see after the game was over, that Shanahan got him to speak to the team and congratulate him on closing out the game. It's it's starting to feel like those old 49ers teams when when they first started getting good. 2000. I'm not saying that they're on 2019's level. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the camaraderie and the vibes are starting to feel like that. And I'll be honest, I was not thinking that, and we've got it's only 2 games in. But I was not encouraged by this team's past mistakes in the draft, not encouraged by their past mistakes in bringing in free agents in the last few years. So I didn't know how this was all going to shake out. There was just a lot of young guys, and you can see it on the field. The New Orleans is not the greatest offense on the planet. Now, Spencer Rattler did actually play a pretty decent game, but they still scored 21 points, and there was multiple times that were just the young guys. They're knocking each other off of the tackles, and they look they just looked kind of out of sorts from time. They kept missing like key There were so many times when Spencer Rattler like got out of two guys' grasp or just broke a tackle to create some more yards, and it was just uh, sometimes it was a little amateurish. And I felt like but they always came back. They kept coming they kept coming at New Orleans until they made something happen. And Bosa, I feel like, is invigorated by this youth as well. I think it helps Fred as well. And this is a very young defense now, which and I'll say this, and I want to apologize to Alfred Collins. I thought that that was also a mistake, like of a draft pick, and he seemed a lot better in this game. I'm still wait and see on him. I still think that there's issues with his pad level. I still think that it's going to take time for him to develop. But if that kid can develop, I mean, so much size on this defensive line. Pause. But it's going to be. Oh, I want to say what's up to a couple of my guys that came in. McNiner, appreciate you coming through, fam. Appreciate you coming through. Yeah, just went ugly. Really, really, that's really what it's really all about. And it doesn't matter how you win, you just got to win. But if Alfred Collins can develop, that kid is a mountain of a man. So with him and Mikael Williams, CJ West, and then you got Bosa over there, Okawanu, who I don't want that kid to go under the radar. I think that I think he showed a lot of flashes last season, but I think that he's still playing well this season. I think Bryce Huff is going to really do something. He's going to add that element this year. I think that Salah's going to get him more. You're going to see more of that Bryce Huff and more of that NASCAR, uh, whatever package they're calling it now. There, but it was a lot of speed. It was a lot of speed and power. I noticed, and I was talking to somebody about this on X today, that the size on the defensive line is something that they've been missing. Kalia Davis too. Can we mention? I know Kalia Davis didn't have the greatest PFF score, but he made a couple of plays, and that's what it's really about is just making the plays when you need to make the plays, and it just brings juice to the whole defense. But I was talking to somebody on X today about this is that the size of this defensive line is really and them being able to just collapse the pocket. And that's something that they could not do last year, the last couple of years. And it looks like there's a plan every single time, and I'm hoping that as they start getting used to collapsing that pocket that they just start closing those running lanes and they bring the quarterback down. I think that Spencer Rattler got out a few times in this game, but I think that that's going to be a work in progress. I can see in a few more games them getting used to this and those mobile quarterbacks not getting out of the pocket. I think that's probably what they're going to be working on. But that's what I saw. I saw a lot of them just collapsing the pocket and then using the speed to power. And it was just really encouraging. It was really encouraging to watch these guys. I was, and I've got to talk about. Let me see if I have it run down because I don't want to skip ahead. But no, I don't. I gotta mention Upton Stout because this man was picked on all game long. Like he was picked on all game long, but he came through on a blitz, and that guy he's not the biggest man on there on the field, but super athletic, tough, tough, and is gonna scrap. He's ready to scrap every single tons of energy. And yes, he in did he have the best coverage every single time? No. But I like where he's a rookie and I love where he's at as a rookie. I think as the season goes on, he can stay healthy, he can stack these games, and I think that he is getting such this is such valuable experience for all these young guys because when you can learn on the fly and you're getting those valuable reps while you're winning as young guys, this is only going to they're only going to build on that. And I just when you have as good of coaching as the 49ers, that and I feel like that's really what's been missing for the 49ers. I think that the cupboard was bare in the as far as coaching goes for the 40 on the 49ers staff. Shanny, his cupboard has been ripped out. All of his coaches have been ripped away from him every single season. The front office, same thing. Guys just ripped away every single season. And at a certain point, you just it like the quality is going to take a hit. And I think that this year, having Salah back in the building, the quarterbacks are really speaking highly of Mick. What's his name? Mick Mick Lombardi. Like they're speaking really highly of Mick Lombardi, the new QB coach. And we all loved Brian Greasy. We all thought he did a tremendous job. But I mean, so far the quarterbacks are really talking highly of Mick Lombardi, and at least Mac Jones did. So it was. I think that the coaching level is just bringing Salah back in. I think him getting him and Kasurik together again is it spells real it's going to be real tough for a lot of teams in the league going against the 49ers. I think they just bring that toughness back to this team and there's going to be a lot of there's just going to I think we're going to see a lot of growth throughout this season and don't be surprised if they pull out some random wins where you didn't think that they were going to get them from. So, and there's going to be some downtimes. There's like because these are rookies and there's the thing called the rookie wall. Every rookie goes through it. So will they be able to get through that rookie wall and still continue to win games? We'll see. We'll see. It's still early in the season. Still early in the season, and yeah, there's a long way to go. But uh, my last key to the game was this O line. I've talked a lot about this O line, and the mismatches, like the mismatching of skill sets on this offensive line. You've got Trent Williams that's good at everything, but he's old. Love Trent Williams to death, but you can see it. It's coming. They're going and which is why we've said over and over and over again as 49er fans that when is the team going to invest in the heir apparent? Now they went and re-upped Colton McKivitz. So that locks down your right side. But your left side is gonna need like you're gonna have to get somebody for that left side. And right now, I don't think he's on the. I definitely don't think he's on the roster currently because the 49ers have no pipeline and for tackles. Their guards, they seem to just find bodies that are serviceable. They lose Aaron Banks, and now we've got Ben Bart. Then we have Ben Barch. He goes down. Now we've got Connor Colby, that the draft pick from this year. He's a rookie, but he looked better than Ben Barch. You have and I forgot his name again. Why? How do I keep forgetting this guy's name? Jake Brendel. It's probably because I want to forget about Jake Brendel. But you've got a Jake Brendel that the fans have been complaining about for years, for a couple of years now, and he just doesn't have the strength to stand up in all the time in pass pro and even in the run game. And I mean, he was a journeyman. before he got to the 49ers. The guy, and he became a stalwart just because he was serviceable. And it is what it is, but they didn't really have a pipeline for that either until all of a sudden Drew Drew Moss just kind of fell in their lap, who played pretty decent in the preseason. And now it's the preseason, but he's a guy that they could develop into that center role eventually. Uh, and I think that they could use him as depth along the in the guard spots as well this season. But Pooney is still. I mentioned him early. It's still a work in progress. But Colton McKivitz has been solid. Couple of plays this last game didn't look great. You're always going to get a couple of plays from Colton McKivitz that don't look right. Like, but he was good. He was good in pass pro for the most part. And I just felt like that this offensive line does much better in pass pro than it does in the running game. They're and that's because we don't really have the type of scheme that Shanny wants to run is is more of a zone blocking wide zone run scheme, and with some inside zone mixed in, and they don't have zone blocking offensive linemen. You got Trent Williams that can really do anything. And I guess technically Jake Brendel would be kind of a zone blocking guy, but he's just not that good. And you got Connor Colby, who will be. I'm interested to see how he works into the scheme, and I'm gonna have to do some more homework on him and what he's done in the past, what kind of guy he actually is. But he's been solid, so I'm not going to say he's not gonna work out. But Dominic Cooney, not really a zone blocking guard either. Colton McKivitz definitely is not a zone blocking type of tackle. He's got short arms, no athleticism. Like it is what it is. You're not going to really get much from the right side with Colton McKivitz when in the right game. So with that mismatch, it's kind of amazing that they're able to get the production that they do. But this is what gives Kyle the excuse to not draft, like draft offensive linemen higher. They go in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth round. Like they just don't invest. Like we wanted it in the first round this year, or this year. Some of us wanted it. It's like instead of Mikael Williams, they wanted an offensive lineman. I just think they need a tackle. I didn't care if it was in the first, second round. I needed a tackle. We still didn't get one until much later, and we got a guard, another guard. They love to draft guards, but they really don't draft tackles. And it's I guess technically Spencer Burford was a tackle in college, but he can't. He's really just not good anywhere. He's never been consistent, and they tried him out of tackle. It didn't really look as that good. So it is what it is. But this O line is overachieving right now, in my opinion. They're overachieving. The depth is not there. If they have many more injuries, I think it's going to show up. Hopefully, these other Ben Barch and the Ben Barches and the Spencer Burfords can get healthy so we can maintain our depth. And hopefully, our starters this maintain the guys that we got out there right now stay healthy all season, and we can just get through this season. Because I think that's the best. That's the best recipe for this offense to stay in line. Because everything with Shanny is timing. Everything with Shanny's timing, and when your offensive line is you got guys coming in and out, you mess up the timing. That's when you start having penalties, and it's gonna be really important that they kind of keep that the execution has to be on point. If we've seen anything over the last couple of years, Shanny's offense has to be on point with the execution. and you can't have that when offensive linemen are going in and out. So, let's see. Anything else that I needed to bring up about the game? So, let's bring up CMC. Let's talk about CMC a little bit because CMC had, I mean, he didn't have a lot of carries. He had, bring it up. He had 13 carries for 55 yards, 4.2 a carry, no touchdowns. We didn't have a rushing touchdown. And, but that's kind of where we need CMC to be. It's in that 13, 15 range. And for Brian Robinson to pick up the slack. I would honestly like to see Brian Robinson get more first and second down carries and like at least first down carries and get CMC more in that second third down role and to where he's what he's best, doing what he does best and getting out in the flats, getting out there and getting us first downs. Um, we're hoping Kyle Juszczyk just gets healthy, and like I'm hoping that there's no lingering effects from the concussion protocol. But he's another guy that I know that we always think that we can get by without him, but he kind of stirs the drink, and he always will make it. He's good for one or two, at least one big play if they go to him. So in the passing game, which he had last game before he went out. Uh, But Mac Jones had six carries. I don't even. I remember the one where he had the jump cut. Like it was actually a pretty good run by Mac. But we're not going to confuse him with Purdy. That is not his game, and he even spoke about it later. He kind of jokes about it. I got to say, can I say this about Mac Jones? I love his attitude. I love his. I like, and a lot of the team has mentioned that throughout camp and they love his sense of humor. They like his um, just him and the vibe he brings. So I got to give and I noticed it right away when I watched the press conference after the game that he recognized one of the reporters and it was just like seeing an old buddy. And I love that. I love that. When you're in this type of environment, it's hard to build relationships with the media. It's hard to build relationships because the you always feel like they're just out for another story, but it's to be transparent and to be just yourself. Uh, it's an underrated quality. So I loved seeing that from Mac Jones. Uh, Kyle could learn some things from Mac Jones, uh, but But yeah, the Mac Jones, 26 of 39, 279 yards, three touchdowns. Now he had the fumble. I get it. And wasn't the greatest read by Mac. But you got to feel the rush in that situation. But at the same time, he didn't do what Purdy did the week before, which is just throw the ball into coverage multiple times. And but Mac had a couple of really good that like I said, can't wait to hear what JT O'Sullivan has to say because I felt like he had a couple of throws that were really high level anticipation throws. And I can't wait to see the one to Jennings that for the touchdown was just awesome. Was just awesome because honestly, like I thought that the linebacker just didn't get enough depth, and he was able to just float it right over the top of him, and there was nobody there. There was nobody there. They ran a similar play with Purdy week prior on the other side. That Purdy, I mean, the guy was running wide open in front of him, and they had the view from right behind Purdy on it, And there's no way that he could not have seen it. There's no way that he could not have seen it. It was right in front of his face. There was nobody around him, and he just didn't throw the ball. And he waited, and it ended up being one of his interception throws. It was really kind of weird. I'll be honest. And by no means am I ever going to say that Mac Jones is better than Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy is the 49ers quarterback. He is the our he is our guy for better, for worse, for whatever. There's not going to be a controversy. Now, with that being said, Mac Jones here for 2 years, and which was masterful work, and it kind of showed you how they felt about Mac Jones coming in, because this is the thing. Mac Jones plays well this game. Mac Jones plays another good game next week. Guess what? His trade value is sky high, because now you've got two starting quarterbacks, and Brock Purdy ain't going nowhere. So, like now you've got people looking for trade, but I don't think that they're going to trade him this year. I think it would be next year that they actually decide to trade him, because I think that and I think that Mac would thrive in this type of offense. So for all the teams that still run this type of offense, you got your Minnesotas who, like Minnesota, need a quarterback right now. They gave away Sam Darnold to go with JJ McCarthy, and I don't know that that's looking like such a great that's looking now. They've got their own offensive line issues, but still, that's not looking like a great decision right there. But yeah, I think they're going to be looking for a quarterback. There's a couple of other teams that run this system that might be looking for a quarterback after this coming season. So we shall see. But who else? Oh, Bebop in the house. What's going on? Appreciate you coming through, fam. Always good to see you. uh, but I talked about Ricky Pearsall, injury issues, Michael. Oh, this was an interesting little kind of wrinkle that they brought up in that Solid brought up this last week, is they brought Jair Brown in as kind of a big nickel, and he kind of excelled in the role. He played. I thought he played really well as like kind of a smaller linebacker closer to the line of scrimmage, using his instincts, playing more downhill, because we know he's not great in coverage. And so, but the way they used him, I thought was really good, and he can excel in that type of role. I loved it. I love Salah is kind of just trying some stuff out, and because this is the time to do it when you've got all these young players and you've got all the excuses in the world to be bad. And but this team is just playing with so much energy and so much just fire that it feels like he could call almost anything, and these guys are like running through a burning building for this guy. And that, I think we missed having a guy like Salah. Uh, he doesn't seem to be jumping around and hooting and hollering like he used to. Uh, he seems more composed, but I just love it. I love having him back, and who knows how long he's going to be here, but I love having him back, and I think he's worth every penny getting him back. Um, yeah, we talked about all those guys. Yeah, I think that was about it. But the oh, perfect timing because we're almost at the hour mark. Uh, Bebop says D Winter's going to be a problem. You're late. We talked about him a little earlier, but yeah, I completely agree with you. D Winters is going to be fire. I think that he's going to be one of the next really good 49er linebackers. This team and Salah just knows how to develop these guys. And this is the thing to think about. You've got Tatum Bethune and Nick Martin behind those two, who I think are really good, are going to be really good. So they've got depth with the line. The 49ers just always find really good linebackers. They really are good at that. They're good at that one. Like what else are they good at finding? There's a few running backs. Like their running back room is always pretty solid. And but yeah, I'm really happy about D Winters because he was a guy that he was in my shadow draft and I was expecting the 49ers to draft him. I thought he'd be a great fit for the team. I'm just glad that he made it and that he because it was touch and go there for a minute when I didn't know if he was going to be last year. He had a lot of injuries. I didn't know if he was going to be able to stay healthy, and it's great to see him come in with renewed focus and just playing his behind off. Uh, oh yeah, that was Bethune. Bebop brought out the hit Bethune had on special teams, and got to talk about the kicker. Got to talk about the kicker before we get out of here. Like, but yeah, Bethune had a nasty, like, I mean, just destroyed the guy on the kick return. But yeah, it was nasty. But got to talk about the kicker. So we all thought it. I know we all thought it. He misses the extra point. Eddie Pinero misses the extra point, and we're all thinking to ourselves, "Oh my god, we're just cursed." That's what I thought. I think I tweeted it out at the time. I think the special teams are just cursed. Like, can we be so? How can we not get any love on the special teams? I just don't understand it. But then after that, he was nails. And I will say this about his kicks, uh, about his kicks. When he's kicking the ball, it went straight line. Now, granted, there might have been some wind last week in Seattle. I don't know how much wind there was, but whenever Moody kicked, it always seemed like it would start over here and it would curve. There was always movement on the kick. Panero straight ahead. There was no deviation. It just looked like just a kick, which is all I think we asked for. And it got to the point to the end of the game where I was just expecting it to go in, and that's how you're supposed to feel about your kicker. And I'm hoping I that's what I want for the 49er fan base. More than anything, is I just want them to feel okay when the kicker comes out. So, yeah, 49ers get this win, 26-21. They got Arizona next week at home. I can't wait. I can't wait to see because I think that this is the game. I think Seattle that the Seattle win after this week looks a lot better than it did in week one. But I think Arizona is a tough team as well. And they always play, it's a division game. They always play the 49ers. The 49ers always have some kind of issue with the Cardinals. So it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a tight game. And it's kind of funny that now they're saying that Brock might be back. There's a chance he might be back next week, but I'm pretty confident that Mac Jones is going to play, and I would love to see Mac Jones go out there and ball out again. I'm hoping that it's more of what we thought it was going to be this week, which I would like to see them run the ball more. I'd like to see them get Brian Robinson some more touches on the ground. I just want him to get because I feel like in order for him to get more decisive with his runs, he's got to get the bullets got to be flying, and that's the time when you really. I felt like he was trying. But I got to see more of it. He had what did he end up having? He had 6 carries. He had 6 carries for 20 yards, 3.3 a carry. His longest was a 7 yarder, and the was 7 yarder was it was a decisive run, and it was so good to see him pick a hole and just go. And that's what I want to see more, and I think that we will see more of that as these weeks go on. He gets more acclimated. But yeah, I'd like to see him get more involved. I'd like to see yeah, I just want to see more of what we thought the game plan was going to be, which is get on run the ball more, let Mac play out of play action. That's what I'd like to see. We all know Shanahan's going to do what Shanahan wants, but that's what we're hoping for. I'm hoping this defense takes another step. They're going to be going up against another mobile quarterback. Can they continue to push the pocket? Can they continue to push that pocket and keep Kyler in the pocket? Because if they can keep him in the pocket, we've seen Kyler give away games. So that's the key. And how is who is going to be on Marvin Harrison? Because I'll tell you this, Renardo Green struggled a little bit in this last game, and I think that they're going to want to target Renardo Green for sure. Um, Teams don't really target Demo that much, but I think they're going to want to target Renardo. So how does Renardo look in this matchup? Marvin Harrison is a giant receiver. And then they've got another one, and they've got a couple of big hosses that and in him, and they've got who's that other? What that other? I can't remember what the other guy's name is. But they've got their McBride, their tight end. They've got pieces so on offense, and then they've got the 49er killer and James Conner, which I'm really interested to see the 49ers go up against this running game with Conner and Trey Benson, because they have a physical running game with the size of the defensive line, with them getting better at controlling the run. How does it look against the Cardinals? That's what I really want to see. So yeah, it's going to be a good game, but 49ers 2-0. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. I don't think that this is going to be a 6-11 season. Like I can at least say that. Yeah, for sure. Like for sure, Bebop. First time we've seen a kick go right down the middle in forever. But yeah, like start we're starting to build up a little bit of confidence. But all I really want to see from this team is growth. It's early in the season. I love that they got 2 early road wins, which is it's just huge to start off the season, and with especially with these young guys. So can't wait to see what happens. Um, but I'm an hour in. It's about time to get out of here. I appreciate everybody coming through, and I appreciate Bebop and Steve-O getting in the chat, and McNiner. Always a pleasure, my bro. Roberto, appreciate you coming through. And yeah, it's but make sure you give the video a like. Make sure that you give it a subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. Also, I'm on YouTube, we're on Twitch, and we're on Facebook as of right now. I'm going to probably venture out into some other ones eventually, but for right now, those are the main 3 I'm on. So tell a friend to tell a friend. And I can't say the other one because I got to say no Diddy after. Like, but yeah, it's be happy. Be happy about your 49er team. Like, I appreciate everybody coming out. I will see you guys next Monday. But remember, this show is not a bean counter show. Tell your friends, it's not a bean counter show. We're not an all 22 show. We just like to talk about the vibes and about what we see from this team, what we're feeling from this team. So yeah, just get involved. Get involved. Tell everybody to come on in on Mondays. And for right now, it's going to be on Monday nights and about the same time, 6:30. I guess that's 6:30 Pacific time. So yeah, appreciate you guys coming out. Hey, share the video, like, subscribe. Appreciate you. And I will see you guys next Monday. As always, go Niners.